So if you are listening to this episode on Spotify, check this out. You should be able to watch it also on Spotify. The podcast has always been available on YouTube to watch, but Spotify has now kind of given me some more tools to actually upload a video. Now I'm trying to still test it out, so hopefully that it works without any issues, and I'm really happy to present something new while kind of like giving a facelift to the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, make sure you like it, make sure you hit that little notification button. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think about the podcast episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Cory Cast, and I'm so excited to see what the future brings. Again, don't forget, subscribe, like, comment, do all the things for me because it really matters, and I love you people so much. Thank you. 13 is a brand founded for the creators, the innovators, and the motivators, for the people who get up every single day and strive to be better and leave a positive mark on this world. 13 is a fantastic clothing company, and the people that are behind it are passionate, creative, and some of the nicest people I have ever met. All of their stuff looks great, it's comfy, all the designs are so super cool. 13 has some of my favorite t-shirts and seriously my favorite pair of sweatpants I have ever worn. 13 has been a long-time sponsor and supporter of the Cory Cast, and they wanted to extend their love to you, the listener. So when you check out their website at thur13en.com, fill your cart with some cool hats, hoodies, sweatpants. Just make sure you use the code word CoryCast at checkout, and you're going to save yourself a little bit of money. thur13en.com. Make sure you tell them Cory sent you. My guest today is a wonderful human being. Jen Hall is a real estate agent that works out of my office, and every time I've had a chance to talk to her, she's always just impressed me with how easygoing she is and just how genuine she really is. She went from being a full-time baker to a full-time real estate agent in a way that I was just so nervous I would never be able to pull off. And I respect the way that she did it so much. And here she is, many years later, running a very successful real estate business. The thing that I've always appreciated about Jen Hall was that she is a real estate professional on both sides of the spectrum, right? When she works with her clients, she's able to advocate for them and really kind of explain things thoroughly to her clients while also being sincere and genuine with their best interests at heart. The other side of the coin is being really good agent to agent, and she is fantastic. I think she sets the bar high for other local real estate agents on how they should conduct their business. She is not only talented in the real estate market area, the field of real estate, but she's also incredibly talented when it comes to baking cakes and designing cakes. I mean, everything she makes is just it's just so good. I loved having this conversation with her because it really showcases you how genuine she is and how passionate she is about her new career, which really kind of shows when she's working with a client or you hear her talking to another client in our office. It's just really... It really showcases who Jen is as a person. Jen is super positive and super knowledgeable. I hope you take away some great points from this conversation, because I know when I walked away from this conversation, I was just like, wow, I knew Jen was cool, but that was really she really pulled the curtain back on how she runs her business and just the emotions behind being a real estate agent that she was able to kind of put into words that I haven't really been able to. So without further ado, here is my friend, Jen Hall. Jen Hall, we met at Howard Hanna when you started as a real estate agent. How long ago now?
I'm in my fourth year.
Fourth year, yeah. So we started around the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you think you started a little bit before me. I want to say probably 6 months to a year ahead of me.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And you came, what career did you come from?
I was working in a bakery for 7 years prior to real estate.
For 7 years, a bakery for 7 years. What was the trigger that made you want to go to real estate?
Well, I got to a point where I loved what I did, loved the bakery, but my boss was actually selling. He was retiring and selling the bakery.
Hmm.
I was kind of at a crossroads. He wanted me to buy the bakery, but I kind of realized, this is backbreaking work. There's this thing that I always wanted to do, real estate, that I never
Hmm.
did. And so I decided, you know what? I think I'm going to take the leap and go for it.
What was it about real estate that always drew you to it?
Um, well, I mean, I watch HGTV like any other girl, but I remember actually as a kid, I used to go to open houses for fun. My mother
Mm,
and I, we would go to church on Sunday and then go to open houses on Sundays.
really?
Yep, yep.
That's
Just to check
amazing.
out the houses and, especially like in the more, upper class, high end
Mm.
neighborhoods, we'd go see these big houses. And, I thought, oh, I want to be a real estate agent one day. That looks like a cool job.
It,
Uh,
it is fun. I like it a lot. When you were at that crossroads of either buying the business or becoming an agent, how did you know what was the right answer?
well, this is going to sound silly, but I turned 30 that year.
Oh,
So
okay.
I said, okay, it's time to be a big girl and do the things. And I know it's just a number, right? But I think hitting that new decade catapulted me to a place where I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to live in fear anymore. I'm going to push myself to challenge myself and do the things that I said I always wanted to do. So I
Right.
said, you know what? Let's do this. I'm a big girl now. I had my birthday. I think I may have actually purchased the course that day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
you just saw, like, if you had bought the business, you were like, I don't know if I would want to do this for a lifetime, right? Because if you bought the business, that's long
Right.
term you're thinking, right?
It is long term. And I think I wanted something with a little more flexibility, right?
Hmm.
Like, I think one of my biggest fears was if I'm running this bakery and I get sick or I get hurt, there's nobody that can cover for me. There's nobody I can
Right.
call up and, like, with our office, we can call fellow agents and say, hey, I'm not feeling well. Can you do a showing for me? Can
Hmm.
you, go take a lockbox off of this house? And we're on it like that.
Right.
And
Right.
I think that sense of community is something that I was missing in the bakery. I was very isolated there.
Yeah. Was it just like you and one other person, or was it just a different vibe totally?
No, it was a great work environment. We were all like best friends there. It's very small. You really only
Yeah.
need two, maybe three people at a time. Um, and it just felt like one of those pivotal moments in life where you're like, okay, I can make a decision here, and I know this decision is going to impact the rest of my life.
Right.
And I knew that
Right.
I would regret not taking the leap and at least trying real estate.
Yeah.
And, I think I tried to set the expectation low and not say, okay, well, this is the goal, which I know sounds silly because a lot of people want to set goals, right? But for me, it's like, okay, I'm going to try this thing. And at least I said I tried it. At least I did it. And if it fails, it fails. And then I try the next thing that I might want to try.
Mhm.
But 4 years in and
You're killing it. 4
still
years
kicking.
in, you're killing it. What when you went from the bakery to real estate, was there any common threads? Was there any things that were very similar between the 2?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if you've ever worked in real estate. Or, you did work in retail. You were at Runnings there for a while,
Yeah, I
right?
did retail. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't
So
come from bakery
the
service.
right. So the transition in working with customers at a bakery is actually quite similar to working with clients in real estate. It's how you connect with people. It's being aware of their needs. It's listening to them. I think that's huge.
Mhm.
Um, not getting into a place where you're just talking at them, but you're taking in and listening to what they want and need.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
yeah.
And same like when, someone's coming to you with an order, you have to really, listen to them on
Yeah.
what they want.
Yeah,
The bakery that
exactly.
you're at, was it, like, a lot of cakes and a lot of, like, cupcakes, or was it, like, croissants and breads and stuff?
Yeah, it was definitely cake. It was called Cakes Galore.
Mm,
So it was mostly cakes, cupcakes. We did cookies, but it wasn't really pastry. It was more special event, wedding, birthday, that type of thing. So a lot of cakes, a
gotcha.
lot of cupcakes. Yeah.
Do you remember what it was like when you first got into real estate? You were juggling the baking stuff, right? You didn't go
Mhm.
into it full time at first, right?
Right. Yeah. So I remember my boss he wanted to retire by the end of the year that year.
Mm.
And I had gotten my license let's see, end of June of that year. So I had a solid 6 months of okay, I still have my part-time job at the bakery. So I have some income coming in. I'm going to give this real estate thing a shot for 6 months. I felt like that was a really good, chunk of time to see how it goes, kind of get my feet in the door. And yeah, I loved it. I followed my mentor around like a little puppy dog, and which we had the same mentor.
Yeah. Yep. Donna.
Yep, yep. So and it's worked out. I mean, it was scary to leave the bakery, but like I didn't really have a choice. It was changing hands. He found someone to buy the bakery.
Hmm.
They had their own employees. They had asked if I wanted to stay on, and it didn't feel right. I was like, you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready to
Yeah.
jump headfirst into real estate.
What that must have been pretty scary
Yeah.
because that's like you are like deciding 6 months in the future. I'm pulling the cord on the part time job. Real estate is going to be my full time gig, and I nursed that bottle for as long as I could. When I was in retail, I was like, also everybody at Runnings was really nice to me. So like, if I had to leave and take a longer lunch to show a house, nobody cared. They
Right.
all were super nice to me. So that made it
Right.
that much harder for me to leave. But I can't imagine like setting a date 6 months in the future. That's when I'm gonna pull it, and then we're gonna go for there. But it all worked out because I mean, you're killing it now.
I'm trying. I'm
You're
certainly
trying.
trying.
Yeah. What was there anything that you weren't expecting when you got into real estate? Something that like hit you, blindsided you weren't expecting?
Um, I don't know if I would say blindsided, but I think there's definitely a lot more of the self promotion, right?
Mm,
Like, I think when I got into it first, I'm thinking, oh, I'll get to like decorate houses and just, kind of have fun with it. And I do have fun with it. Don't get me wrong. I do get to pull some of that design element that I enjoy. But I would say the one thing that surprised me most was that this is a sales position, right? You have to
mm,
market yourself. You have to take the time to really make sure you get your name out there. And that was tough for me. Even doing this podcast, I told you before we did this, I was like, I'm
yeah,
really nervous.
yeah,
I don't like being the center of attention. I don't want to, but then I think I told you via text, I said, I'm in the business of challenging myself. And this feels like if it feels uncomfortable, I'm probably going to try to do it.
hmm, yeah,
Like this podcast, I don't podcast. I
yeah,
don't,
right, right.
but it's like, oh, when I got that feeling in my stomach of, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't, this scares me. I thought, okay, now I have to do it. Great.
Yeah, right,
you
right.
know?
Yeah, yeah. No, and it feels there's a lot of things that are uncomfortable about it, and especially somebody who I think you and I are both introverted in a sense. I know before I got into this business, I was very uh, I would go to work, retail. I would come home and I would shut my phone off. I wouldn't want to talk to anybody at all the
Hmm.
rest of the day. Definitely didn't post as much as I do on social media now. So things have
Right.
definitely changed. When you have you been like actively trying to push yourself out of your comfort zone? I mean, it sounds like it when I invited you to do this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things right there. The second I get that feeling in my gut that says, oh, back up a little bit, and not, there's obviously certain things safety wise that you don't want to
Oh,
do
right.
if you're feeling scared, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think for so long in my life it was fear based.
Mhm.
I used to have a lot of anxiety problems growing up, in college and whatnot, and so I think for me, pushing myself to places where I feel uncomfortable,
Mhm.
once you overcome it, you realize that, oh, that wasn't so bad. And
Right.
it's almost like you crave it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's like an adrenaline rush or something.
Yeah.
You get that pit in your stomach that tells you, okay, I got to do this thing. And
Right.
then you do it and you feel better after.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
And do you think this it's like a practice almost?
Yeah.
Keep doing it and keep doing it.
Yep. Yep. There was this book. It's so funny. It's an older book, but I remember it from years ago. It's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's
Feel the
like,
fear. What's it
yeah,
called?
feel the fear and do it anyway.
What's
Just
it
about
about?
it. It's about like I said with this podcast, it's not about not having fear, right? Like for people who live a fear-based life, who have a lot of anxieties, um, it's not that I don't feel anxiety anymore. It's not that I don't feel that fear. It's that I feel it and I uncomfortably push through it.
Do you tell yourself anything like when you're pushing yourself through that? Like, are there words of confirmation you tell yourself?
Yeah, oh yeah, all kinds of little affirmations and things. I think things that have happened in life, right? Death, loss, whatever, it makes you realize that life is short, right? And I think that's actually one of the things I tell myself all the time. Like, life is short, just do it. Just do the
Right.
thing because you
Right.
may not get another chance, you know?
Yeah.
Just do it.
Right.
Feel it, feel the fear, feel all those things. Know that the little butterflies in your stomach, your lump in your throat, all of that, totally normal. Just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Feel it and own it and just push through it. And I promise if you do the thing, you will feel better after.
And also, I tell myself too a lot, like, what's the worst that happens?
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, when something weird comes up that I'm uncomfortable. I'm trying to think of a good example, but it escapes me right now. Like, I'm always like, what's the here you go, a estate sale that I did a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I went to the listing appointment, and the guy told me, the contact, that he has 4 other brothers and sisters, so it's 5 siblings handling the estate of their parents, the
Yep.
sale of their house. I
Yep.
remember calling Donna because I was so nervous on the
Mhm.
way over to the house, because I was like, I have 5 of them that I have to present. It's not just 1 or 2 people. There's a group of 5 of them. And I remember Donna being like, "So what? So what? There's 5 of them." She's like,
Yep.
"You're gonna present the same information if there's 2 of them, there's 5 of them, if there's 10 of them. You
Yep.
present the same information." She's like, "You'll be fine." She's like, "What's Cory? What's the worst that's gonna happen?" And ever since she had said that, I was like, "Yeah, it's not like I'm gonna get hurt. Nobody's gonna hurt me in this house.
Right.
I'm just here to help them get over, like, jump a hurdle in their life. So what's the worst that can happen, right?"
Right. Yep. Yep.
The teaching the classes too recently have been kind of nerve-wracking for me, going to the different offices to teach it, but it's the same thing. It's like, what's the worst that happens? I
Yeah.
fumble a word and I can't say something. No one gives a shit.
Nope.
Everybody's human, you know?
I think that's one of the things I think too is that, we tend to get in our own heads so much. And I a
Yeah.
lot of times I tell myself, nobody cares about me. They're worried
Yeah.
about themselves,
Hmm.
So just do the thing.
Hmm.
Do it.
With you growing in real estate, you said you're not really a fan of goals so much, at least maybe in that aspect of your life, but in real estate, do you structure your business around goals, or are you just kind of uh free flowing it?
I mean, I do have some goals. I have some structure. I'm definitely more of a free flow type of person though.
Yeah, you and me both,
Um,
sister.
yeah, yeah. I take well because in this business, every deal is different, right? So I
Hmm.
actually find it difficult to try to structure too much. Um, like we have in our company, we use like a CMA, right? Where it's kind of got mapped out for you every step of each new client, right? Like, I think there was a list of like 10 or 15 different steps. When you get a new client, you want to, okay, have the initial conversation. You want to follow up a week later. You want to, whatever. I can't follow that structure. For
Yeah.
me, every client is different. And I get that a lot of people need that kind of structure. For me, I try to really personalize my style of business. Maybe I've got a client who, works odd hours or whatever. Um, I just try to cater my business to each individual client, right? So I find it difficult in this business to set goals that are too structured. I think
Hmm.
I set bigger goals, right?
Yeah,
Like,
same. Yeah,
like
yeah.
one of my goals, my first year in real estate, like my first full year, my goal was to hit that higher commission split, right? That
Hmm.
was like but that's a broad goal, right? That's
Right.
not like real specific, but it's broad. The next year, my goal was to have a full year in real estate where I was never without at least one sale going at a time, right? Like I
Hmm.
didn't want to have no deals going because, sometimes in this business you can have 10 deals going and then they all close and then you go, oh my God, I have no business. I'm never
Yeah.
going to make another paycheck again, which is
Yep.
not true.
Yeah.
Um, And I think just the nature of this business being so volatile and so unpredictable, right? Like it's
Yeah.
hard to plan the week ahead when I don't know if I'm going to have one showing in that week or I'm going to have 20 showings in that week.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's the one thing that I like most about this job too,
Is that
because
it's so varied?
I'm not a 9 to 5. I couldn't sit at a desk every day doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, versatility and the unknown
It's kind of fun.
works for me. Yeah, it works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. This job
Yeah.
would not work for everybody,
Right. Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
like the structure. I know some people who are like, when I look at like the overall year, I feel like at the start of the year, I usually do the same thing where I kind of like look at my sales for that past year, and then I set a goal of what I want to obtain. But that's really all like. There's even some people who like say you should take that goal, divide that by 12, and then divide it by 52 weeks. So then you know what you got to do every week and every month. And I'm like, I don't want to. No, it's not me. I don't need to know the number. And then like you're taught like that CRM too. CRM is great. I love it. But that like checklist where it's like make first contact with person, then
right.
send it. I'm like, it's too robotic. I don't I
Yeah.
don't I don't I mean, I know you can customize it and yada yada yada, but everybody's different. That's the cool thing about real estate. And if people have heard me say this 1,000 times, but it's like a fingerprint. Everybody's business type is different, you know?
Yeah, totally.
With that being said, how do you set your business different from the other agents that are out there?
I think, like I said, for me, it's about that personal connection, right? I mean, that's so important in this business. I tell new agents, like I took on the mentor program. I'm now mentoring my first mentee, right?
Yeah.
And again, that was one of those moments of like that fear moment where I thought, oh God, I don't want to do this. And then I thought, crap, now I have to do it because
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't want to. So now I have to push myself to do it. So I think connecting with people is how I want to stand out.
Mhm.
And I won't be for everybody, right? Like we don't mesh with every single client. But I think for me, it's that personal connection that I form with people that hopefully will help me stand out amongst other agents. I mean, anybody can do a contract. And I tell this to my mentee now. I go, the contract's easy. That's the easy part. It's not the paperwork. It's how do you connect to other people? Do you exude confidence? Do you, make them feel comfortable? Because buying real estate is like one of the biggest purchases people make in their lives, right? And like this, we see people at their very worst, right? They're stressed out. They're bugging out about money, about can I afford this house? Am I going to qualify? Oh my God, the rates just went up. Do I still qualify? And this market has been tough. This seller's market that we're still in has been tough. So I think it's all about, for me, that connection with people
Mhm.
and making them feel comfortable and confident.
There are some agents that hire a transaction coordinator. Is
Right.
that something that you would ever look into hiring, or do you think your business is so personal you would rather just handle it yourself?
Yeah, no, I would never do that. No.
Yeah.
Um, I think from the beginning, I know a lot of agents are very like number based, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? They want to hit those goals. They want to make the money. For me, and I know because I know you so well too, it's about making sure that every single client hits their goal, whatever that may be, right?
Right.
Having that personal touch, feeling like you're connecting with people. Because for me, it truly isn't about the sale, right? Because one sale isn't going to make or break me. But if I treat somebody with, you know, respect and care and like I'm really there for them, they're going to go and tell their friend, "Hey, we really like Jen. She was really, she listened to us. We felt like there was a couple of reviews that I had from past clients and they almost made me cry. One said, she made us feel like family. We felt like we were her actual friend throughout this
Mm.
process." And for me, that touched me in a way that I was like, okay, that's why I'm
Yeah.
doing this. They always say like, what's your why? Right? Why do you get into this? And of course, I mean, money, we all need to eat and survive. And feed our online shopping problems.
Our Amazon problems.
Speaking for a friend, of course. But no, I mean, ultimately it's how did I make you feel at the end of this transaction? Because as we know, things don't always go according to plan, right?
Yep.
In a real estate transaction and in life. So I just think that's what life's all about is connections with other people, connections with other living beings. I have my dog literally sitting right behind me right now. She's
Attached to your hip. That's funny.
yeah.
You had mentioned taking on the mentor program. How has that shifted your focus as a real estate agent?
Yeah. It's gotten me back in my business, I will say. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I remember when I was first asked to do it, like I said, my initial instinct was, no, I can't. I'm still a newbie in this. I still feel
Yeah.
very new in real estate, even though you and I have been in this, 4 years now.
Yeah.
I still feel brand new. I don't feel like, I mean, I've been through a lot of deals, so I have some experience, but I still feel like a newbie. And so when I got asked to do this, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be responsible for somebody else's
Yeah.
experience in
Right.
business. And oh my God, I can't do this. And I thought, that fight the fear, do it anyway. So I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I think and it has brought new life to my own business. It's gotten me to take that step back and look at the basics again, right? Because I think you get comfortable in your business and you forget sometimes those basics, right? Like I still need to send letters out. I still need to promote my, my Real Scout account so people can sign up. I need to send out neighborhood news. I need to do all the things that you sometimes get. I don't want to say lazy, but you get a little complacent in your business,
Yeah.
right? You
Right.
get referrals and that's, the best way to do this business through referrals, but you forget that sometimes I still need to do some community outreach. I still need to, send letters and send whatever. So I think being a part of the mentor program has not only opened my eyes, I think, to the possible world of teaching other people, which isn't something I ever saw myself doing, but I'm really quite enjoying it. And
Yeah.
then it's also getting me back into my business basics.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. That's something I never thought of. It really makes you like slow down and think about how you handle your process because you're like, oh crap, I'm handing this down to somebody else. I'm gonna make sure this is like
Yeah. And you're put
it's
on the
sharp.
spot. You're put on the spot too,
Yeah,
because
right.
I say to him, it was funny. I actually, when we first started, I said, okay, one of the first things you need to do is you need to update your Howard Hanna website in the About Me section, right? There's a spot where people can click, says About Me as an agent. You need to fill that in. So I go, well, let's look at mine and I'll show you as an example. We get to my website and it's not there. I'm like, I go, where did it go? It was there. So I had to
Yeah,
call the tech department. And I'm like, thank God I did because I don't go to my own website really, but
right.
you should check it. And so
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
one of those things where I got there and it's like I had my tail between my legs. I'm like, I have to update my About Me section. And I
Yeah,
thought I look like an idiot to this, this guy who's a brand new agent.
that's so
And
funny.
he's looking to me for answers and my website wasn't even,
Right.
so, but
Your
I got it
website wasn't even
fixed.
working.
Yeah, but it was one of
That's so
those
funny.
tail
That's
between the
funny.
leg moments where I was a little embarrassed, but
That's so yeah, when you teach somebody, you really gotta make sure you're on your A game. And a slip
yeah,
like that, you're always like, ah,
yep,
damn
yep.
it. So when you have been working with your mentee, do you give them goals or do you just kind of like help them build a business plan if that's like what they're interested in?
Yeah, I don't give him goals. I think in the beginning I kind of asked him like, "What are your goals? Like, what do you want out of this?" And we kind of, like I said, I'm a very like more, I guess, go with the flow business style. And I kick myself too because sometimes I think I need to incorporate a little more of the structure, to
Mhm.
kind of balance out my go with the flow. But I kind of been going at his pace, and I think I really took a step back and thought, okay, well, when I was a brand new agent, what helped me,
Mm,
right? And for me, it was experience. It wasn't necessarily setting goals per se. It was I wanted to physically be there for listing appointments. I wanted to follow Donna around, like I said, like a little puppy dog, just follow her around and do
right.
everything that I could to take it all in.
Yeah, right.
So I basically just, we set up appointments all the time. I say, hey, Kevin, I'm going to be at this listing appointment. Come over if you can, or I'm going to go do a showing. Come join me. And he does. So it's been great,
Yeah,
Um,
that's cool.
yeah.
It really is a joy working with people and getting to know, like, how do you want to run your business? Do you want to be like goal oriented? Do you want to work on some scripted stuff? Hey, we're gonna go
Right.
on a showing. You want to come with? Want to do
Mhm.
that? Like all these different approaches are really cool. How have you like learned to become such a great mentor? Is it just by learning, by doing, or are you looking up to other people around you?
Oh, looking up to people. I rely heavily on our office. I'll tell you.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't be anywhere near where I'm at in this business if it wasn't for people like Donna, people like you, people like, um, all the seasoned agents in our office. I mean, I don't think there's one agent I couldn't go to in our office and say, hey, can you help me with X, Y, and Z? Or do you have any
Yeah,
advice about whatever?
right.
And I know, like, I interviewed with a couple of other agencies before I came to Howard Hanna, and I did not get that family vibe that I
Right.
felt in our office.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know, like I said, for some people, it's more about the numbers. It's more about, maybe like higher commission splits or something like that. For me, it was very much about how do I feel? I'm a feelings
Mhm.
based person. So how do I feel in this office? Does it make me feel good? Do I feel supported? I lean on other people. And I've had to teach myself to do that actually, because I think the instinct is to,
Nah,
again, run from
run
that.
away. Yep.
Right. You feel either embarrassed or you feel like, oh, I don't want to bug them, or they don't want to hear from
Yeah.
me or whatever. And it's like, no, people like helping other people.
Hmm.
I mean, so again, facing that fear of, the insecurity of, I don't want to ask the question. I don't want to, you get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just put
Just
yourself
do it
out
already.
there. Do it.
If you're too nervous, there's probably a
Yeah.
reason why you're nervous. You just do it and swallow it and just freaking
Yep.
go
Just jump
for it
in.
already.
Yeah, do it. I'm telling you, once you do it once, it becomes addicting.
And it becomes easier the second time,
Right.
the third time, and the fourth time.
Yeah. It's the
It feels a
buildup.
lot
It's the
easier.
scary part, right?
Right, right. Because it's like you get trapped in your own thoughts of like what's bad, what's worse, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it
Yep.
comes like an endless loop, you
Yeah.
know.
And don't get me wrong, I feel fear constantly. Every day, every day I'm just like, what am I doing? What's going on? But fighting it and doing it anyway. There's
Jen's like, I'm in a
something.
natural state of anxiety
I
and
am
panic at all
constantly
times.
anxious. I mean, that's kind of accurate.
With
But
in your constant state of fear and anxiety.
I mean, look at me
When
right now.
you
I'm just tweaking. I'm freaking out right now inside.
because you're like, I'm on a podcast, then I'm talking about now I'm nervous, now I'm anxious. Uh when is there anything that you wish you had known when you started in real estate that you know now?
um, oh God. To not, I would say when I first started, I took everything to heart, right?
Mm,
Like I told you to me, I'm a very emotional person. I'm emotion based, fear based sometimes. So I think um if I could go back and tell myself, like, hey, when that friend didn't want to work with you as their agent and you thought they were your friend, don't take that personally. It's
yeah,
not personal, it's business.
yeah.
I think that's one big takeaway from being in this for several years now. I think I used to take things to heart a bit more,
Hmm.
and just realizing that it's not about me. It really
Right.
probably has nothing to do with me.
Hmm.
It's about that person in their own situation, and they're going through their own thing. And for whatever reason, maybe I wasn't the right fit for them. Um,
It does suck though.
it, it,
It does
it
suck though.
hurts. Yeah, it hurts. So all my best friends out there know.
If you're listening and you don't use me as a real
Yeah.
estate agent, I will never talk to you again.
We're done. Cut off. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
But I mean,
When
truly, it's not personal. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah,
happened to all of us, and that's the
yeah,
thing
yeah,
too. It's not just me. I
yep,
feel like I took it very personally. I'm like, it's happened to every single agent. We've all had either a family member or a friend or somebody we thought we had in the bag. They're gonna work with us for sure. And then
yep,
you see a post on Facebook, just sold our house. I'm like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's what's like heart wrenching. A lot of people like still kind of don't know how the real estate agent thing works, and
Right.
we're looking for clients. We don't get paid unless we close on deals, so we're always looking for clients to work with. And
Right.
when you see your friend bought a house with somebody else, or I'll tell you a story. My cousin Joey, I love him to death. Him and his girlfriend, we were looking at houses for I don't know, it was maybe about 8 months or so. They were FHA, needed concessions, and it was
Right.
just about a year ago, so it was a really tough market. And Joey, as nice as can be, he called me and goes, "Hey man, I'm really sorry to tell you, but Christina, his girlfriend's brother, got his license and started working at Hunt.
Uh,
So he said, we're gonna go start working with her brother because it's her
uh,
brother." And I was like, Joey, no, it's okay, dude. I understand. What are you gonna do? I'm like,
yeah.
if I'm her and my sister just got her license, I'm probably gonna go with
Right.
my brother or sister and not my second cousin that we see a couple times
Right.
every other
Right.
year. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
I totally understand, but it still is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But it's all good. It all works out because guess what? They are happy and they're in a new house. So
Yep.
that's what really matters. But it still hurts just a little bit.
It always will, Cory. It
I know.
always will. That little,
It's
little
you were trying to play it cool earlier and say like, yeah, you just gotta make sure it doesn't take it to heart. And I'm like, no, I take shit to heart. I still do it. I still
it
do it.
still, don't get me wrong, it still hurts, but the lesson is it happens to all of us.
No,
And
the lesson is
yeah,
you practice and letting it go, right? Just
yeah,
being like, "Hey, all right, wish you the best." Like
yep,
I don't hate Joey for it. I love Joey. I still he's I love that dude. He's a sweet kid.
yep.
And I say kid like he's much younger than me. He's the same age as me. But like those kind of moments happen a lot in real estate that it not other jobs have to worry about like a fear of loss, and especially when you first get into it that fear of loss was like a severe to me. Like
Yeah,
losing the paycheck. I was like,
right.
no, I
Yep.
lost a client.
Like end of the
No.
world, never gonna get another client again feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then guess what? The next day you cover floor duty and then you have somebody walk in. So it's
Yep.
like sometimes people walk in and out of your business like a revolving door. But how do you
Yep.
get somebody educated and to stay with you, Jen?
Well, I use the tools, right? So with our company specifically, we have tools and I use
Mhm.
them. There's a lot of automated systems that I love. Finding that work balance, right? Like you said, like the fear of losing a client, right? Or losing a deal. So how do you not stare at your phone 24/7 all day,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
So I rely partially on some automated systems, right? Like setting up a search for a buyer. It's linked right to the MLS. So the second something comes up that matches their search, it pops up, right? So I think having automated information coming at people, right? Because the attention span of most buyers and sellers out there is like very small, right?
Yeah.
With the age of the internet, we have everything at our fingertips. So
Exactly. Everything you
you're
can
not,
need.
yeah, if you're not answering the phone immediately, they could just whoop go on to the next agent or
Mhm.
whatever, right? So I think it's a combination of presenting, making sure I'm giving people up to date information, helping myself by using automated systems when I can, and that human connection. So I think if that doesn't work for you, then maybe I'm not the agent for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Like having that connection and just I just do my best.
yeah.
That's
Do
like all
you
I can do, you know?
when you work with a new buyer, do you do the buyer agency agreement?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Because
Mhm.
I gotta be honest, there's some clients that I might be happy if they walked away,
Right. Yep. Right, right,
you know?
right.
But I do try to. And I kind of tell people too when we sign that, I'm like, look, like if you don't like me or whatever, just let me know and we can end
Yeah,
this contract. This is not binding.
yeah.
It just is a protection for both of us. And, you
I
know,
think it was like a stepping stone for me to talk about how real estate agents work and also for me to be like, "Hey, once you start working with me, like, you go to me. You don't go to any other agent. I'm your
right.
point of contact." And
Yep.
even if they don't sign it, at least I have went over that and know how they know
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah.
It's like
Well, I've gotten burned in the past for not having a buyer agency.
yeah, yeah, and that'll
So,
happen. Like Jen, that happened to me last week when I was on
uh,
vacation. It happened to me, and
when
it
you were
was
on
the most
vacation, of course, because we're not allowed to take vacations.
right, but it's like it was the most sincere accident, and like I totally understand, but I'm kicking myself because I'm like I wish I had a buyer agency actually signed, and I did sign one with her when I first met her, but it expired after 6 months after we met, and I've been working with her for over a year now. So I just never
Oh,
had her
Cory.
re-sign it up because I was like, she's fantastic. She's never gonna go anywhere. She just didn't want to bother me when I was on vacation, and then gone. That,
Wow.
but that's also a nice level of protection for the agent and also for the client. At
Yeah.
least I can explain to her. I just should have set a reminder in my calendar, and I never did. But the GSAR had uh the main event last week,
Right.
and the speaker had said, "Your goal in business." This stuck with me. Hold on, because I have it written down somewhere. Because I thought it was really cool. It's like your goal. Oh, the goal in business is to only have a problem once, and when the problem happens, put a system in place so it never happens again. And when he
Yeah.
said that, I was like, "Ooh, I like the way he said that," because I've always been like, something like that happens. I'm like, okay, what can I learn from it? What can I do now? Somebody signs a buyer agency agreement, I put a reminder in my phone,
Yeah.
a calendar event, so I don't forget, and then I can go over that conversation with them again.
Right. Now I've got to look over my buyer agencies. Thanks.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, it just happened to me last week. But I mean, that's the unfortunate, that's like the con to this business. What is your favorite thing about real estate?
It's that it's got to be that post closing day excitement, right?
Mhm.
When you're there with your clients, they're holding up that sign, the sold sign. It's
Yep.
so silly, but that moment when you're like, okay, let's take our sold picture, and they're so excited, and they grab
Mhm.
the sign, and if they have kids, they got the kids in the picture, and everybody's all excited. I think it's that hope of like the new beginnings and getting
Yeah.
to be a part of that.
Right.
I mean, it's the same thing when I do like because I still do cakes on the side, right? And
Right.
it's that same feeling I get when I do somebody's like wedding cake, right? And then I get to
Yeah.
see the pictures, and I'm like, oh my god, I was a part of their like one of their biggest days of their lives, their wedding, and I get to see the
Right.
pictures of them smashing the cake into each other's faces and the happy smiles and whatever. So I think it's those big moments that I live for, right? Because this job can
Yeah.
be stressful.
Very stressful. Very
So
stressful.
it's the end goal. It's that getting to take the picture with the sign, as silly as that sounds, it's what that represents.
But even with the highs comes the lows, and if you could wave a magic wand, change one thing about real estate, what would it be?
Oh boy. How much time do you have? I have to pick one thing.
Yeah.
Magic wand in real estate.
I'll let you think because I got one. It
Okay,
is
tell me
the,
yours. Tell me yours.
the fact that we take 60 days in New York to close on a house. That is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ludicrous
I
that
know.
we take 60 days, and the day on the contract is a floating day. It's not even guaranteed at 60 days. Most times it's like 65 days, right?
Oh yeah.
66 days. When my aunt bought a house in Tennessee, they wrote a contract date on the closing date on the contract. And my aunt was like, "So should I plan for like that day or after?" And the agent literally looked at her and goes, "No, we put on the contract. That's the date. Put it in your calendar. That's when we're closing."
Crazy.
What?
Crazy.
What? I know. That's if
Yeah.
I could wave a magic wand, I would say we should all get our shit together on New York State and close in 30 days. There's no
Yeah.
reason for it. In the
Yeah.
year 2022, ladies and gentlemen, 2022.
Yeah.
So that's my magic wand moment. But what's yours?
Um, I think how do I put this? I guess that sometimes when you're working in a deal, the other agent on the end of the deal, right, doesn't match your level of effort. So I
Yeah.
guess my magic wand moment would be like, we all do our jobs.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm not doing two jobs for the price of one, kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah. That can be frustrating, especially the
Yeah.
communication. is the number one issue people have with real estate agents. And I don't think it's just consumers. Like, I think if you polled agent to agent, I think it would also be
Right.
communication.
Right. Well, and then there's that balance of, you want to be nice to the person, right? Even if they're
Yeah.
not doing their job, you kind of want to call them out and say, "Hey, man, you're not doing your job here."
Right.
But the same token, it's like I have to work with this person probably again and again. I
Yeah.
want to be nice to them because I want my offers client to get, or my client's offer to get accepted.
Right.
I don't want them not wanting to work with me.
Yeah. Right.
That kind of circles back to like, how do I keep a client, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I say on listing appointments is that anybody can do the job, right? Any agent can throw your house on the market. But when another agent sees my name on the listing, I hope, and this is kind of what I pride myself on, that 9 times out of 10, they look at that name and they go, "Oh, thank God it's Jen. I really want to work with Jen. This is good."
Yeah.
So it's like you're selling yourself more than you're selling their house almost,
Mm-hmm.
because like, even for me, like when I'm working with buyers and I'm looking at listings, of course I'm looking for like, does this house actually match the person? But when you're scrolling, and I'm sure you get the same thing, and you see, okay, who's the listing agent? And you either go, "Yeah, it's Cory, sweet." Or
Right.
you
Or
see
you're like,
somebody else, which I will not name any names here.
yeah, right.
And I go, "Oh God,
Yeah.
I don't want to work with them. Please don't love this house." You
Yep.
know? So, I guess, I wish that other agents, I guess, would do their job.
Yeah, and that's the tough part, is because it's like you said, you're on this like balancing act, because it's like you don't want to be too much of a steamroller that they don't want to do business with you in turn, right? Because at that listing
Right.
appointment, you kind of lose some of that credibility.
Yeah.
But it is interesting when you're at a listing appointment. I was just telling Brittany about this the other day, was that you're not really, when you go to a listing appointment, you're really like trying to sell yourself.
Right.
I said that to her the other day. It's not, you're not selling the house, because they've kind of already made it. Maybe they're on the fence, decision wise, like how much they're going to list the house for.
Right.
But also they want to make sure the person that they work with is going to be workable with for the next,
Yeah.
6
Yeah.
months.
You think you just posted a video about this, didn't you, on
Yeah.
Facebook or something, about how
Yeah. I
research
tell
your
people to
agent.
stalk your
Yeah.
agent.
Stalk your agent. Do you like them? Because you're going to have to deal with this person for the next however many months you're involved. So if you
Right.
don't like them, if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel like they're not going to, respond to you or know what they're talking about, go to the next,
Yeah, I know. And I will, when I went, there's one time that it sticks out in my head that I knew I was up against other agents interviewing for of a house, and I had told them that. And I was like, here is my virtual business card, it has all my social media, has my Zillow page, has everything you could want. Click the links and it'll bring you right there. And you could makes all your stalking easy.
Yeah.
And they laughed and they said, well, we already kind of stalked you. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. We're to the point where that was my first entry. And I was like, well, give me a tour around the house. I'd love to see the house. She takes me upstairs, shows me the bedroom. She goes, I think this is a bedroom that you're going to like. And I was like, okay. And as I walk in, there was mats on the floor and it was a gym. Like they had dumbbells and elliptical. She's like, well, I saw on Instagram that you like to work out, and this will probably your favorite room. What do you think? Like some people are already doing their research when they meet you.
And isn't that great? Isn't that great?
Yeah,
it makes you
you
feel like
them
you're doing your job. It makes you feel like, okay, what I'm doing is worth it.
Right.
And it's actually making a difference. People are actually seeing my posts. Because I think, like, when I'm posting on social media, right, I don't like to do it, but I know that you have to do it for business and to kind of get the word out there and whatever, interact with people. And sometimes you think to yourself, like, is anybody even seeing this? Does anybody care? And then you work with somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I saw that post you made about, how houseplants make your house sell better or something silly, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, you saw that? So it kind of validates your hard work. It makes it worth it.
You feel like a lot of times social media, like you're kind of screaming into a cave, an echo. And especially like nowadays, you promote a business or something and immediately people are disinterested. So it's like, how can you still post and promote yourself while not annoying everybody around you. Do you have
Right.
a plan for that to like avoid that, or do you just kind of like post sporadically?
I personally try to do like a mix,
Yeah.
something personal, something business related. Sometimes I mix the two. I just
Mhm.
posted I had a client I just put an offer in for, and we're waiting to hear back, right? So they're nervous, I'm nervous. We want to get the offer accepted. So I texted them and I said, "Hey, cross your fingers and toes, that we get this offer accepted." And then I texted them and I go, "Hey, have your dog cross her finger, have your dog cross her paws," right? So they send me a picture of their dog sitting there like this with her paws crossed. So
That's
it's
funny.
like and so I posted that. I thought it was cute and funny. So I thought that was a
Yeah.
good mix of work and, that personal touch. So I
Do you
think,
have anybody who's running your social media, or is this all
no,
everything you do yourself?
no, I've thought about it, but again, I mean, I like that personal element.
Yeah.
Um,
If you had $1,000 every month that you could just spend in marketing,
mhm.
what would you spend that money on?
um, hmm. I think I would spend it on something bigger, right? Like a billboard or something that I think would reach more people.
Mhm.
I think because it's a numbers game, I think. If I reach out to 50 people, I might get maybe one hit. If I
Right.
reach out to 1,000 people, maybe I'll get two hits or so.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like real estate is sometimes a numbers game. I think it's also timing. Um, and like we always say, like touching on people, right? It's called touch. It sounds kind of weird, but you want to touch on people every like quarter or every 6 months or every whatever, making sure you're staying in contact with them. So yeah, I think I would go bigger if I
You
had
go
more
bigger,
fun.
like,
Yeah,
billboard marketing media,
yeah,
or
to get your
oh, so you
name
just
out
put,
there.
like, a bunch of billboards on 690 with Jen Hall's face on it?
Well, that would actually that would be a great idea because then I guarantee you I'd have friends taking pictures of them and going, "Hey, I saw your face on, 81 North or whatever. I
Yeah,
saw
right?
your face down, and then that would kind of build upon itself." So,
Yeah,
yeah, I would go
right.
bigger. Sure.
That's I would love a billboard. Billboards
Yeah.
some I feel in
Cory,
this
let's
business I
do
have
this.
some
Let's do a billboard where you're like doing the jujitsu to one of my cakes or something, and we've got like house in the background, like you're
There you go,
smashing
I
one of
could,
my
like,
cakes.
kick the cake.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's I feel like I have a bucket list in real estate, and owning a billboard is probably 2 or 3 on there. But I feel like I would be able to afford a billboard for, like, a week, so it'd only be a
If that,
and then there
I
would
think
have to be
pricey, aren't they?
a
I've never
a
looked into it.
I have no idea, but I would imagine they're expensive. I would imagine they're expensive. I have no idea. Um, no, that's, on your do you have a real estate bucket list? Do you have, like, things
It's-
that, like, you wanna do in real estate?
yeah. Actually, this is kind of a this is a way down the line bucket list, but I've always kind of wanted to live in Florida, or at
Okay.
least be like a snowbird type of person. So I
Yeah.
think a big bucket list item for me is getting dual licensing and working
Okay.
maybe in 2 states, being able to just broaden my. I want to travel, right?
Yeah.
So I think opening up to a new location has always
Mhm.
been on my bucket list. Maybe not always staying in central New York, but branching out and
Yeah.
maybe getting my license in another state and trying that for a while.
You
And
think you'd go to Florida?
I would, I know that's so cliche, but yeah, like
Yeah.
I want to be near water. I want palm trees. I
I
want
feel
like
it.
simple
People
life.
like Florida because it's just nice year round.
Yeah.
It's always no matter what, like, it's Christmas and it's 75 out. It's like, what the it's perfect. I can wear
I will
shorts
say
on
though,
Christmas.
I would have to come back to New York for fall.
Yeah.
I'm that girl. I
Yeah.
have to be here. I got to do the pumpkins, the apple picking. I
Yeah, yeah.
can't live without it.
I do like the seasons. I do like I'm somebody who like winter we could turn the dial back a little bit here in
Yeah.
Syracuse, but I like a spring, winter, fall. So, like they're all great. I
Yeah.
enjoy going to Florida. Sounds like a humid hell that I'm not interested in.
That's why you got to do the snowbird thing. So you get through, live here in New York from June to the end of the year, and then January 1st, dip out, get some warm weather.
But the hurricanes, Jen.
I
Natural
know.
disasters.
I know. We are lucky in New York State, I will say. And
We
like,
have like none.
yeah, I mean, you get all the people who are, oh man, New York sucks and the taxes and this and that, but it's like our state is beautiful. It's
Bro, there
absolutely
are no
beautiful.
poisonous snakes or alligators in my backyard. None to be found.
Not yet, Cory. It's 2022. Listen, crazy things are happening in the world. You never know.
So long term, Jen wants to move to Florida, sell some real estate in the winter, and then come up here during the fall and sell some houses in New York. That's long term.
Yeah, that's super long term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any short term bucket list goals you have?
I actually have not done any new builds.
Oh.
I haven't new construction. I really want to work with clients and kind of maybe get into more of the new build realm of real estate. The design element. I think that's really intriguing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the process of building anew and starting from the ground up. That is something I've not tackled yet, and I want to.
Yeah, that would be a fun transaction to work. I've never worked a new construction before.
Yeah, it'd be one of those learning opportunities, I think.
What is else, like, you're such a goal oriented person, I know. And what is like the next goal for you as like a professional in your business? Is it just like another certification? Is it just to focus on selling more houses? Is it just to hit a number? Like, what is it for you?
Yeah, it's definitely certifications. Actually, I've been thinking that now that you even bring that up, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of want to get designations because I don't have any designations right now. I got my sales license. And I thought to myself, maybe someday I'll want to get my broker's license, kind of step it up a notch. But yeah, I think at a certain point I will want to take it up a level,
Mm-hmm.
get some
And what does
designations.
that mean for you? Is it getting your
Designations,
broker's license?
doing, like I said, doing the things that make me uncomfortable. I get comfortable. I'm comfortable in my sales license right now, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a comfortable spot to be. Maybe taking on more mentees, teaching, broadening my scope. Maybe, what I do want to do eventually is get more involved in like the GSAR, right? Maybe
Right.
be on the board of something, maybe, the head of something. I don't know yet. It's a great question, but I think I'm still figuring out what I want.
Still planning. Well, if you go for a
Yeah.
designation, I do recommend you should check out the scholarship program because I got
Right.
both my ABR and SRS I didn't pay anything for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Other than hotel, when I did the ABR, I had to go to Corning for the night.
Mm-hmm.
Just got a cheap hotel down there, and that was it. They paid for my class and everything else, so it was a good gig.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to. I like the designations because it helps you stand out between everybody else. Everybody else has got the same info on their card. When you see cool initials, you're like, "Ooh, what is this?"
MD.
Ooh, fancy. I'm gonna Google search this.
Yep.
Yeah, I could see you getting like your ABR or even a GRI. I think that'll be my next one. The Graduate of Realtor Institute. Is that what GRI stands for? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know GRI. The one that you did. What is it? ABA.
ABR.
Accredited
Buyer's Representative.
Yes.
Very fancy. That. And then I did the seller's version of it.
Right.
Because I figured just why not have one of each.
Yeah.
There's tons of them. I didn't realize how many there were. There's so many of them.
Yeah. It's interesting. In my business, I work mostly buyers, right? Like I think it's just happened that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe one of my big short-term goals would be to really try to work more listings, right? It's a different job. It's funny, like the two sides of the coin, right? Yeah. Totally different experience being a buyer's agent versus a listing agent.
Right.
And I think the listing agent is something I need to kind of put more energy into.
For those that don't know, what are some of the biggest differences working between a buyer and a seller?
Well, buyers, your feet on the ground, you're moving, you're going to look at houses. You have to be quick, right? If a house pops up, you better get on it now or it's going to be sold within hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely more, I think, interactive. You get to know your client a lot more too. You spend a lot more time with buyers than you do with sellers, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
That's a good
sellers,
point. Actually, I've never thought of that.
oh yeah, oh my God, I find I'm still great friends with a lot of my buyer clients.
Oh,
Sellers,
really?
not so much, because I mean I stay in touch with the sellers, but they've moved, right? They sold their house and now they're gone, or I mean, I guess some of them have stayed in the area, but many sellers that I've worked with moved out of state. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like you don't see them anymore. You kind of interact with them on social media or whatever. But buyers, you spend a lot of time with them, looking at
Right.
houses and getting to know them and their families and what they want. And then
And just
maybe,
the way that the market is right now, you're showing them a lot of houses before something
yeah,
gets
yeah,
accepted.
exactly. Yep. Whereas listing side of things, it's a lot of prep work. It's a lot more prep work. And then once you list it, well, it's a lot of work throughout. What am I saying? But I think you don't spend as much time, I think, with sellers, but it's a lot more the salesy side of things. Buyers, you're trying to get something.
Right.
Sellers, you're trying to sell, listing, you're trying to sell that thing.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different approach.
There's a lot more prep work that goes involved, because with a buyer, I don't. That's one thing that's on my to-do list, is to actually make like a slideshow buyer presentation. I don't have one of those yet, because
Right.
I'm kind of like free flow conversation, like you and I have talked about. But with a seller, when I'm working on the CMA, that's at least about 2 hours of work, sometimes more, when I'm compiling and trying to really nail down a price and do my homework on the house. Where, like when you work with a buyer, you're not doing that type of homework on every single house you show them. I wait
Right.
until they tell me that they want to pull the trigger, that I start looking into
Exactly.
comparables and stuff like that. So there's a big difference in those two relationships.
Yeah.
Do you prefer the selling side rather the buyer side?
I do love my buyers.
I feel like
I do.
I would work with buyers in a more level off market. I think that's more my shtick.
Right.
If the market was more like balanced, but working with buyers right now is just really
It's
tough, just because of the way that
It
things
is
are.
tough. I find it so rewarding though. And that's the part
Yeah.
that I think that, like, if you ask me, do I prefer buyers or sellers? Like, I love listing houses, don't get me wrong, but I do love my buyers, because for me,
Yeah.
it's so rewarding when I get to call a buyer and tell them offer accepted.
Yeah.
That is like is that not like the most
Yeah.
exciting day?
And especially when
Everybody's
it's somebody
dancing.
that's like
I dance around my house. I mean, it's silly, but I mean, I jump up and down like a little kid sometimes, and I do the claps and
yeah.
it's
And
that
that's
kind of
like
thing.
when it's a client, like even when it's a friend or family member, it hits home even more. It's like
Yeah.
I would be on the table dancing.
I literally dance, and I text them. I said, "Doing my happy dance," But I remember Donna always saying that what a roller coaster ride of emotion this job is. Like the highs are so high, but those lows are so low. Like you said, when a friend works with another agent, or you've put your 5th offer in for these clients and they didn't get it again. It cuts.
But then you got your offer accepted for your best friend who's a brother, and then literally the next week you're like, I just lost the client I worked 2 years for.
Yep.
And they're gone.
Yep. It's an emotional roller coaster.
It is an emotional roller coaster.
Yep. Yep. And it's an emotional roller coaster for the clients too. I kind of joke with a lot of my clients and I say, yeah, Jen Hall, real estate agent and part-time counselor.
Yeah.
Here for you. Like,
it's what it feels like. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. You kind of have to help people navigate their own emotions sometimes. So,
last question.
Sure.
What is the best piece of business advice you ever got?
Oh gosh. I'm going to come back to it again, and it's not necessarily business. It's more life advice, but feel the fear and do it anyway. Just do it. Be okay feeling fear, whether it be in your job, in your life. Just sit in the fear. It's okay to feel the fear. Don't try to fight it. Don't try to press it down. Feel it, but then do the thing anyway. Because reward is on the other side of discomfort. Yes. Jen Hall, you're wonderful. Just know I've been uncomfortable for this whole interview.
I have been uncomfortable the whole time. You've been doing like this. Thanks for doing this, Jen. I appreciate it.
Thanks for asking me.
Heck yeah. This was wonderful. You are a fantastic real estate agent and a wonderful guest and a very talented baker.
Thank you, Cory.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Cory Cast. I really appreciate the time that you spent listening and even listening to the full episode to get you to this point. I just want to say I'm just so appreciative and so thankful that I have so much love and support for these episodes. If you want to be a guest on this podcast, reach out to me. I'm always looking for new people. Let's talk about what you're passionate about. Let's talk about your hobbies. Let's give you a positive platform to talk about the things that matter to you. Do me a favor, make sure you hit subscribe, like, follow, leave a review of the podcast. All those little things will help this podcast grow. Because without you guys, there is no podcast. And I am just so grateful that you're taking the time to listen to it today. Thank you so much.